if you've got these knives that are collectible that you really like, and you want to kind of capture that DNA and experience the essence of that in something that you can use and can carry every day, that's kind of the joy of this. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I am Brian, this is At Home EDC, and in my hands I have a box that is fresh back from Demko customer support, and I am really excited to have this knife back in my possession. It is, in my opinion, the most EDC-able Demko knife that there is. I did play around with the first version of this quite a bit prior to sending it back to them, and I love it. So this knife is a Demko Nano Shark with the Arctic Storm fat carbon scales, and there was one minor issue with the first version of this knife that I had, where there was a chip in the scale on the back side where it connected to the liner. In addition to missing a piece of the material, it was actually a bit rough to my finger as I passed my finger along the back spline. And so I reached out to Demko customer support and they took care of it with no issues. The replacement is here in this box, so let's jump straight into it. All right, so we've got the knife, Shark Lock sticker, Nano Shark sticker. Nice of them to include that, even though I didn't send those back. And we've got the case. It's funny that the Nano Sharks and the other Taiwan-made models actually come in, I would say, nicer packaging than the American-made Demko knives. At least the ones that I've got. They have upgraded their packaging. Hopefully they actually include the zippered pouches with all of the American-made knives going forward. But let's check this out and see what we've got. That looks pretty sweet. So the previous model or version of this model that I had actually had a chip in the fat carbon scales right at the back there, right where the liner meets the carbon fiber scale. This one looks pretty clean. I was torn when I bought this whether I should pick up the fat carbon version or the titanium version. Quite honestly, I was really drawn to both, and the only deciding factor as to why I went with the fat carbon over the titanium is I've got a lot of titanium Demko full-size 80/20s, compact 80/20s, basically the American-made MG 80/20s in titanium scales already, and so I decided I wanted to try the carbon fiber version just because. I also decided to go with the shark foot blade on here versus the clip point, just to give some variety. I feel like for a small knife where you're probably going to use it for EDC-able things like opening boxes or cutting off zip ties, the shark foot blade is a little bit more, I guess, utilitarian in that respect. It kind of resembles a razor blade and how you would make cuts with a razor blade. So I just thought it was the appropriate blade shape to pick for this knife. This knife is pretty expensive in terms of its price point, $390 MSRP. I picked this up from Knife Center originally at a 20% discount, brought it out to about $310, just kind of took that edge off the price just a little bit to make me want to explore this knife. And I will say that I've been extremely happy with it, with the first version of it, you know, less the issue. But I really came to really appreciate and enjoy this thing. And I will say my first impression was actually tainted a little bit by some of these higher quality Demkos because I was just so used to kind of the action on these, the solid feel in hand, just how burly and overbuilt these American-made Demkos felt, that when I tried this Nano Shark for the first time and I tried kind of the shark lock action, it felt a little bit, I don't know if the right word is flimsy. Flimsy is not the right word because it still feels incredibly solid, but it's just not quite to the same level of something like this. And that's not a fair comparison because this is a $750 knife where this is a $390 knife. The more that I used it, the more that I handled it, the more that I really came to appreciate it for what it is. It actually doesn't feel flimsy. It's just smaller. It's just kind of bite-sized. Everything has been scaled down a bit. But the thing that I love about it the most is actually how solid it really feels, how much it kind of exudes the Demko quality in a smaller package. If you look at this, let me get a ruler real quick. So if you look at the blade on this knife, we're at about 2 1/8 inches. It is a very, very small, short blade. But if you look at the stock thickness of this knife, it is a pretty chunky, pretty thick knife. Let's compare this to the James brand Klein that I did a review of recently, and you will see the thickness on this Nano actually looks thicker than the stock on the Klein. It's close, but it legitimately looks thicker than the stock on the Klein. And the Klein is a $450 knife from the James brand. Obviously, there's more material there and it's Magna Cut versus 20 CV, but for a little knife, that kind of speaks to how beefy this thing actually is. And if we get into that, the fact that it's got the shark lock and the shark lock is super solid, I mean, play to this, there's a little bit of play left to right if you really put some torque into it. There is no play front to back. The shark lock is just incredible. I mean, compare that to this. You see that? You actually have a little bit of play forward and backward in that. You definitely have play side to side. I mean, you can feel that. On this one, I can get a little bit of movement, but I don't actually feel it, and there is no play front to back. This thing just feels so solid, it feels like it's built like a tank. And I love that about this. You know, it's one of those things where if you're a fan of the brand and you're buying all these other knives that really, quite frankly, are too large to everyday carry and are so nice that really the reason I'm buying them is just to collect them. I mean, I just really like nice, quality, well-built, well-engineered things, and I don't plan to actually beat these up. I got no reason to beat these up. I just love them. I mean, the action on them is so wonderful that it's just a joy to handle. It's just really impressive. And so if you've got these knives that are collectible that you really like, and you want to kind of capture that DNA and experience the essence of that in something that you can use and can carry every day, that's kind of the joy of this. You know, the shark lock on this, it's so fidget friendly. It really kind of gives you that feel of the Demko knives, the bigger brothers. And I can sit around, and even if I'm not cutting anything, I can just do that, and I like it. I like doing that. I don't have to cut something to actually enjoy having, owning, possessing, and carrying a knife. And that's the piece of the puzzle. If you watch my review of this James brand Klein, that this knife is missing. This knife has zero fidget factor. It is not flickable. The thumb stud is super awkward, so to deploy it with one kind of singular motion, like there's no fun in that whatsoever. The action is so stiff. You get it open, to close it with one hand, you gotta kind of do that. This knife is great. It looks great, it feels great in the hand. There is zero fidget friendly factor to this knife, and that means between the two, for everyday carry, you know, you got carbon fiber scales on both. I'm picking the Demko every time. I just am. It's just enjoyable, and it looks great. Form factor wise, comes in nice and small, deep carry clip. Between the two, the Demko actually feels heavier. Let's check this out. Let's check the weight out on these. So again, the James brand Klein, 4.3 ounces. Where is the Demko gonna come in? 3.7, so it is a little bit lighter, still pretty hefty for such a small thing, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Really, really impressed with this. Feels great in the hand. Little bit short, but I can get 4 fingers on it. The jimping is real nice on the top. Feels so solid. When you hold it like this, it just feels solid. It's not gonna collapse or cut my finger or anything like that. I've got a lot of faith, a lot of trust in this Shark lock. And so, yeah, I guess I would say this is a very, very expensive little knife. I don't know that it would actually perform better than this one. I think it's a great comparison because the price points are pretty similar in terms of what I actually paid. I actually paid $335 for this. I actually paid $310 for this. And so if you need a true utility knife, something that's, you know, gonna go out in the woods and do some macho things, this one might be the better choice. But if you want something that you can truly everyday carry and enjoy, that has that X factor, has that fidget factor, if you're a fan of the Demko brand and you want kind of all of the Demko DNA in a knife that is smaller, more usable, more carryable, this is it. This is fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to bringing this with me everywhere I go and having it scratch that Demko itch for me while I continue to collect and enjoy some of their finer offerings that they've got. Like this compact, like this Sax. I gotta be honest, the Sax is my hands down favorite knife that I've ever handled. The acoustics on it are amazing. The size, the form factor, the quality, absolutely through the roof. I do need to get around to making a video of this, all in due time. For now, huge thank you to Demko customer support for getting this fantastic example back out to me. I will definitely be enjoying this one. Please let me know what you think of this knife in the comments. Definitely expensive, but in my opinion, especially if you're a fan of the brand, worth every single penny. That's all I've got for this one. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you at the next one soon.